Hi, so today I'm going to walk through with you how to set up self-hosted WordPress, okay? Now, it can seem really tricky when you're starting out, the idea of having to have hosting and a domain name and all of that. But it really isn't tricky, okay? I know initially I was so scared by that idea I got my husband to set it up for me, and then later I learned how to do it. And I just taught myself. It was really quite straightforward, and I felt a bit stupid that I hadn't done it myself. But anyway, I just want to break this down for you and just show you how easy it is so that you feel brave enough to do it yourself. Okay, so I use SiteGround. I think they're great. And all you need to do is you can go to their site. You can go to web hosting. You can check out their plans. So if you're a new site, this startup, $3.95 a month, great price, no issue at all, that will be fine for you. If you want to move an existing site, you need to just think about your current traffic and how many sites you have. If you just have one website and you get less than 10,000 visits a month, then startup is going to be fine. Okay, if you're a bit bigger or you have more sites, then you're going to want to grow big. And if you even just borderline the 10,000 visits, I would think about going the higher one. Because we all hope we're going to grow. But it's not an issue to change plans later. So let's get started. We just click on this. Okay, so say we want to get a new hosting account. Now, if you already own your domain name for your site, you just click here, I already have a domain name, and you just enter it in. So say if I was moving, where's Sharon? I just type that in there, okay? That's all I need to do. If you don't already have the new domain name, this is a good chance to get it. You can just type it in here, put like what ending you want, like if it's .com, whatever. You can just do all that here. Now, you go down and select what plan you want. So if you're new, like I said, the startup's best. If you're bigger, you might want to grow big. Now, okay, so this is just the service from above. So the startup one, the $4 a month. Now a location. I would just pick whatever is closest to where your readers are. So if I was doing where's Sharon, even though I'm here in Australia, so Singapore would make sense from that perspective. Since most of my readers are American, I would actually go with America. Okay, so you just pick what you think makes most sense. You can pick your time period. Basically, the longer you pick, the cheaper you'll get your hosting, because this is $3.95. It's like a special startup deal, so you can have it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Me personally, I just kind of think I never know what will happen, and I tend to just go with 12 months. But then if I was moving with Sharon, I don't think it's going to disappear in a year, so I'd probably go off paying for 3 years, but up to you. Okay, so if you do register your domain with them, you do get it for free. So if you don't already own your domain, it's a good chance to buy it. And if you do that, I really recommend getting privacy protection wherever you buy your domain. I know when I first bought mine, I did not realize that my personal details were available for everyone to see. So when you get your domain and you have to put your address in, if you don't pay for privacy protection, anyone can go look it up and they can see where you live. So keep that in mind. But here, if you're already moving a domain name, it doesn't really matter what you pick. And then you have some extra services, so you can choose if you want extra support. I mean, I haven't found it necessary. You probably won't, but you can work that out for yourself. I would not use that myself. A basic backup service. This is something to consider if you don't know how to back up the site yourself. It is easy enough to do in the cPanel. But yeah, I mean, you need to make a decision for yourself. For $2 a month, it might seem worth the peace of mind to just know that you're getting your site backed up regularly, because it is really important to have some type of backup. Okay, if your host goes down, or you just do something weird to your site at some point, you could lose it. So you need some type of backup. And hack alert monitoring. So it's sort of monitoring if they think your site's been hacked. So you need to work out whether or not you want that. I'm cheap and I can back up myself, so I tend to not buy anything. Then you'll just need to pay for the year, and it will be in whatever currency. Mine's in AUD just because I am here in Australia. Then you just submit order. It will set up an account for you with a username and password. Now, when you've done that, this is the first step. This means you've paid for it, you've sorted it out. Then you need to go set up your WordPress site. So then you log into SiteGround and it will take you to your accounts area. So here's a special account they've set up for me especially so I can demonstrate this to you. So we'll go in. So once you get to this point, click on Manage Account. It'll take you to a screen with a lot of information. Try not to get overwhelmed. You don't need the majority of it. Just look for what you need. Now, one thing you will need is if you didn't buy your domain or get your domain for free when you sign up for your hosting at SiteGround, you're going to need these domain name servers. So where you bought your domain name, say if you bought it at Namecheap, you need to go log into Namecheap, look at your domain, and you should have an option to set up the account domain name servers. If you can't find it, contact their support and they will help you. And you just need to enter this one and this one. And that basically tells your domain name where to point, where your site actually is. So then when someone enters, testblogaccount.com, these will take it to this site where it's sitting here. So that's a really important step that you can't forget. Other than that, really all you need to do at this stage is go to cPanel. Okay, cPanel is really handy. It just helps you do everything for your account very easily. So even if you choose not to go with SiteGround hosting, I would strongly suggest picking a host that has a cPanel unless you really know what you're doing technically, because it gets a lot more complicated. And this is just so easy. So all you need to do is go auto install a WordPress. Okay, so we'll go click on that. Take us to this jazzy screen. And we just want to click install. So here, a normal website, you just want HTTP. Now you need to decide if by default you want your site to have the www in front of the domain name. So say for Where's Sharon, I'm www.wheresharon.com. Conversely, I could have set it up to just be wheresharon.com. So you pick whichever one you like, that's up to you. So say I want www.testblogaccount, so it's got my domain name there. Okay, so it's got a database name. You can change that if you want. I just like to make it something just extra random, just a little bit harder for people to hack it, up to you. Your table prefix, change that if you want to. Now your site name, these things you can change later, so don't feel like this is the end of the world if you get it wrong. It's very easy to change it in WordPress. So what was my site? Test blog account. My great test blog. Okay, now here you have an admin username and admin password. Now this is what's used when you go to your site. So you go to log in to the back end of your site later to add new posts or do whatever. It's just your login details for that. So pick something really good that you'll remember or you write down somewhere. I mean, really, it's probably one you're going to need to write down because the most secure passwords are things like this. Okay, and you can see these defaults for you to something. Those defaults look pretty good to me. The main thing I'd suggest is really make this admin username like not admin, because a lot of people have admin by default, and this is what is hard to change later. So you want this to be something unusual. I also wouldn't pick your own name. That's easy to guess. Okay, so you can do that. I would just leave that how it is. I would keep this leaving the limit logins. It just means that someone can't just keep trying over and over again to log in to your WordPress. Okay, so that's all you need to do. Then you just click install. And it really just installs it all for you. It's incredibly quick and easy. So you can see how fast it's going. That's all it takes, have a WordPress site. Now you may have some troubles accessing this until your domain name's propagated. Now what that means is on that other screen, when I showed you those domain name servers you needed to go set up in Namecheap or wherever you bought your domain name, basically that just takes a little while to get around the internet. So it can take, sometimes I find straight away I can log into the site, sometimes it can take a few hours, but that's normal. Okay, so once you set up that, it's like you just have to wait for the internet to just know where your site is and to update those details. Okay, but otherwise you can see here, so that's where your site is, that now exists. And this is where your admin is, so that's where you use those login details to get in. And that's your site. So everything will just be set up default initially. Yeah, so you can see this isn't working because it's not a real site. But yeah, once you have it all set up and your domain name's pointing to it, you'll be able to go in. Your WordPress site will already exist. It'll be the default WordPress theme and you can get started. So that's really all you have to do. Now you have a self-hosted WordPress site. Put any questions below.